The Mercy doesn't affect me because I go into every game just expecting my supports to throw and then blame me because that's the average support player.
I think DPS players complain the least because have you heard a Doomfist player talk about his character in the last year? They just yap and yap and yap about how their character sucks.
Support players don't know how to play anything other than their role, because their role is the easiest role in the game.
Welcome back to Overthink, the game show where I ask contestants a series of Overwatch hot takes to see where they stand. Feel free to play along in the comments to let me know what your opinions are on these hot takes. And if you'd like to actually be on an episode, go ahead and sign up in my Discord. I host these live on my Twitch channel most Sundays, so please go follow me on there to catch a show live. And lastly, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more content like this. The recent tank changes made a big impact. We have 2 people in agree, 2 people in somewhat agree, 2 people in somewhat disagree, and a person in disagree. So we're actually off to a really split start already. So let's start with the agree. Who would like to speak between Sir and Athena?
Pretty much with the changes, it severely impacts tank as a role because it generally it's an entire tank passive, but also some tanks benefit from it more than others. Like Orisa, she got nerfed, and on top of that, it doesn't do much for her, so she's kind of hasn't been played a lot. But then there are other tanks like Maga or Roadhog who at higher ranks are just seen dominating ranked just because of the passive. And then even with the I've seen the recent change, the recent changes where Hog got nerfed because he was so good just because of the passive, where it was making heroes that were traditionally only seen in gimmick, one trick players in comp have seemed to be it's been seen way more often. It's bringing back Maga meta, which is, as all tank players know, the most unfun thing in the world.
I mean, mostly just that, I don't think, if we're talking about the recent changes, I think the recent changes definitely had, but obviously the nerfs just came out, recently, but I think overall, the changes did change a lot in a way that sustainability is a lot higher on tank, but I think where people find they're not getting the value on tank still is that it still feels like tank doesn't do damage. And I think that's where a lot of people have disagreements on whether the tank passive actually changed anything. It's because they still feel like they do no damage, which is true, but at the same time, tanks don't really die anymore. I mean, obviously that's different for most tanks. No offense, not calling anyone out, but if you play Rein is just never going to be good, don't matter the buffs. So it's obviously if you play a character like that, you're not really going to feel the buffs at all. But I mean, on the other characters, it's fine. I think just that certain tanks need individually looked at rather than just a generalized full tank buff, because I think this was a little bit overkill for some tanks, and for other tanks, it didn't move it at all. But it definitely did impact the game.
Overall, I think there are a lot of it is just really nice quality of life buffs. If the general regen with the percentage, tanks benefit from that a lot more now. And then they have a lot more ways to sustain themselves. And I do like I actually do like the general changes. I think it's a more creative way of dealing with it than just flat number buffs.
I think the tank changes were good, but I think the characters that are good now would have been good no matter if the changes were put in or not. Because the only reason Mauga and Hog weren't played as much as Orisa is because Orisa was just better. But if the new season came out and Orisa still got that nerf, but the tank changes didn't come in, Hog and Mauga would still be the top 2 played. I also think Diva is really good right now too. I think she's actually better than Mauga right now.
I just want to enhance on what Lil Beat Book said. Yeah, mainly that Orisa change a while back was what changed tank. Everything since has been little bips and bobs here and there, but honestly for me nothing's really changed ever since that big healer support change we had, and ever since that DPS passive. That's been the major shift in tank. Other than that, the game's been the same for me, mainly playing Rein, so I am a bit biased to what obviously Sir on the other end has said over there to me, but that's pretty much the gist of it.
After hearing other people speak, is there anybody who would like to change their stance? All right, Diva, you went from somewhat agree to somewhat disagree. Why?
I actually do agree with Liger. Yeah, they're nice changes, but this really hasn't affected me as a tank player, in the slightest, but I like having them.
I hate having a Mercy on my team. All right, we have 4 people in agree, and we have 3 people who are coping with their reality because they don't want to get canceled. I'm kidding.
Mercy right now is the most miserable hero in the game to play with. She provides no value whatsoever, unless you're the one Mr. Sojourn himself who can provide from the damage boost. Her healing stat is abysmal. It doesn't help me at all. I would rather have Kiriko, Baptiste, and Ana, or Moira the damage boost doesn't affect me at all, because if she's pocketing me, then she's not a good Mercy player to begin with. The res, sure, might be good once in a while to save a fight, but I would rather not die in the first place with the Suzu or with an Immortality Field. And her ultimate is kind of useless. Like, you can do the same amount of healing that you can get from just like playing any flex support to begin with, because like having a Mercy player on my team like doesn't do anything. In fact, it inhibits me in some cases, because a lot of my Mercy players in comp tend to just be flies and just go and fly to their DPS and then instantly get a headshot by an enemy Widow. So I think I would literally rather have one less teammate than have a Mercy on my team.
Yeah, totally agree. I hate having a really bad Mercy on my team. I think I'd go as far to say I'd rather have a Zenyatta on my team, because at least the Zen can provide a little bit of extra poke damage or can get a good transcendence off. Like you said, I mean, if I had a Kiriko, a Baptiste, and a Mercy, I would pick Kiriko and Baptiste 90, almost 100% of the time over a Mercy player. Mercy's just bad, man. It feels bad to play with her. It feels bad to have her on a team. It's just like, she's just not good, like, at all.
I probably got the most hater take despite being in neutral. I'm gonna keep it so real with y'all, and sorry to my supports in chat. The Mercy doesn't affect me because I go into every game just expecting my supports to throw and then blame me, because that's the average support player. Doesn't matter if they're on Mercy, Kiriko, Ana. When inevitably we lose, the support will blame me because I'm the easiest person to blame. DPS don't really talk. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have DPS players yap to me. I mean, they all suck too. But like, I'm gonna be so real when I say it doesn't matter the characters. I hate that I have to get a support player in my game. Like, we should just make it 4v4. 2 DPS, 2 tanks, no more supports. And the game would be better for it, because things would die. And yeah, that's kind of why I'm in neutral, because like, it just doesn't really matter to me. Like, no matter what, the supports in my games are gonna piss me off. So it's like, if they pick Mercy, it'll probably just happen a little bit faster than it normally would. The support players are so ingrained that they're good that they don't see it. But just take a step back, watch your VODs, and you'll see it.
So let me ask you this. Do you think support players tend to be delusional?
I think every role tends to have delusional, and obviously it's a little bit biased, but I don't think tanks yap as much as the other roles do. Imagine if DPS or support was unplayable, not like bad. Tank was unplayable for months on end in Overwatch 2. And I'm going to be honest, the tank reaction to that was pretty tame compared to what, in my opinion, DPS and support players would do. But I mean, supports are upset if their characters aren't overpowered. And that's the issue I tend to have with support players, unless their character is good enough to make up for their own shortcomings, they'll think that the role is bad. Because the role was also broken in Overwatch 1, but you just didn't see it as much because there was another tank, so the healing was more spread out. But they were just as broken in Overwatch 1, and I swear you asked any support player, they would say their role was the worst. When up front, support's been the most broken role for like 2 years before the DPS passive got it. Now the DPS is probably the best role, but that's fine, because it means things will die. It doesn't mean things infinitely live on end and I have to have a 5-minute fight in the hopes I can get value. And anything I do is going to get canceled out by the 3 support abilities that cleanse, inful, pull away, the 80 dashes they then have. Like, support is so overtuned that, like, I could go on and on. I'm going to cut myself off there. So go over time. I think they are very reactive in how bad they think their role is. I'm going to be honest, support has been in the best spot for years.
When I asked Sir if they think that supports are a little delulu, I saw 2 vigorous nods from Diva and Junker Queen. What are y'all thinking? What's going through your noggins?
I think it's just a general thing. I think Overwatch players are delusional. Like, I think a lot of the Overwatch community is just stuck in this big stigma about how the game is and how it used to be and how it should be. That's more of a general thing, really.
Well, I think it's just that, like, sure, like Sure said, every role is kind of delusional. It's kind of a part of playing Overwatch. You have to kind of be delusional to continue playing this game after more than 3. But it's like, when you see, like, on Twitter or like on the subreddit or something, if there's like a huge blow up of a bunch of posts, it's almost always from support players. And by support players, I mean Mercy players, because Mercy players are, I'm not going to say that, that's too mean. But yeah, it's like supports, whenever there's like a huge outcry about like a hero getting buffed, tanks are just like, okay, we ball. DPS players will complain sometimes, but it's like, at the end of the day, they have, what, like 17, 18 different heroes to pick from, while the rest of us have less than half that. But if a support gets changed in the slightest, it's like instantly huge blow up, because support players don't know how to play anything other than their role. because the role is the easiest role in the game.
You think support's the easiest role in the game?
At higher levels, yeah. To get to higher levels, rather. I also think the support players, the best players in support are better than the best players in tech and DPS, though.
I don't mind it. I disagree slightly. Most is chill. I mean, I prefer Ana Lucio, but love a good res, love a damage boosted fire strike. Great fan base, Mercy Mafia. Shout out! I farm you guys on Twitter. Let's go. I think it's one of the better supports to get instead of maybe a Zen or a BAP. It's just not enabling for my gameplay.
All right, I have a Kerbadisi here. I got a couple of things I want to say. First of all, yeah, I do not care if you go Mercy. I am like a gold 2 player. I play casual. Play what you want. I will not stop you, and nobody should stop you. Also, I'm a D.Va player, so my pocket's a health pack, so I don't really need to worry about my supports. I also play ball and the same thing there. And also, like, as a D.Va, getting pocketed by Mercy actually feels really good for me because it just makes things die that much faster, and I have a lot of fun with it.
Tank was more enjoyable in Overwatch 1. I did not expect this to be evenly split. There is literally at least one person per stance.
I loved playing Ryan Zarya and King Duo, my duo, and I would literally just run tank duos all day, so that was like the best part. And now we're kind of split on, okay, who's playing tank today? Who's playing something else today? Otherwise, we're not have to play in the same groups together. Otherwise, one of us has to go up tank. That's one thing I really miss.
I think for most of it, tank was more enjoyable in Overwatch 1, but I do like that first season or two of Overwatch 2 where supports were playing Dead by Daylight and tanks were the killers was really nice. Like when Doom got mega buff for 2 weeks, that was almost the most fun in Overwatch I've ever had. The entire season where tanks was just really good. But I would rather here we are now, I would rather go to Overwatch 1 and play that because the tank synergies, I'm a ball player, so APAC was really, really fun to me, but it's kind of harder to play APAC, and that's basically it.
I was not a huge tank player in Overwatch 1. It was honestly at that point it was my lowest role. So it's I used my neutral path because I don't think I'm qualified enough to speak on the topic. But from what I do remember, when I did play for a short time with some friends and whatnot on tank, it was having that tank buddy was such a great feeling. But it's I would love to have 6v6 back, I guess. It's kind of off topic, but having that tank buddy back would be something that I would love to have in Overwatch 2. But it's I'm also not super well versed in the topic enough to have a strong decision either way.
I'm somewhat disagreeing because I disagree. Hey, I'm just me. You can all have different experiences with tank, but I think there's a lot more to 5v5 than no more double shield. First of all, it got rid of a lot of the CC that I want to get rid of because you're not gonna have hook pin and all that. Also, yeah, you have these combos Ryan Zarya and Orisa Sigma, and these things kind of became fundamentals or even necessities in a lot of comps. And I don't want to say it got stale, but I kind of do want to say it got stale. I think having one tank in concept, not necessarily in reality, but it tries to give the team comps more variety. And I kind of like that. So I like destroying people as a mega tank, so it's nice.
Now let me clarify. It was good. Let's all be honest, it was good. However, it's gone. Overwatch 1 tanking, double tanking, it's gone. It's gone. That's it. Time to bury it. It's in the past. Mourner, learn from it, okay? At the end of the day, tank is now about enabling your team. You're a solo tank, the game's centered around you, higher pressure role, higher responsibilities, all of that. I miss Ryan D.Va, I miss Ryan Orisa, BAP and things like that, and Ryan Zarya especially was, chef's kiss, beautiful times. But double shield sucked. It drained the last half of those years for the game, and Goats deleted half the DPS roster. I miss double tank, sure, but I also don't miss the things that era of Overwatch brought us. And now it's better. I think Overwatch 2, it's better the way it is. It does suck because we do miss the off-tank role. I know support players say, I prefer it too. DPS players maybe the same thing. I prefer it too, the extra tank to protect them. But now it has to be return and exchange. Before it was the tank covered everyone, or the other tank covered the other half of the team, backline, frontline, etc. Now, if I need help, my team has to save me, and if they need help, I have to save them. So that's what I think is the essence of tank now. It's more challenging, but the payoff's amazing.
So we all know the saying, when pigs fly, implies the fact that, pigs never fly. I think we're about to see a pig fly with how violently Sir has been shaking their head. Sir,
what are you disagreeing with what this man just spit? Because that was some great shit I just heard, all right? What do you disagree with?
So, I get it that everyone wants to look towards 5v5, and fair enough, like, I'm not disagreeing with that, but let's answer this in the essence of the question of, was 6v6 better than 5v5? Yes. Has 5v5 ever produced a tank meta where tank was both strong and fun to play? Because past the first 2 seasons where nobody knew how to play the game yet, so it was easy, no, it has never been both fun and good at the same time. And I think my main issue is that we want to bring up all the bad comps of 6v6, right? And we want to bring up the end of the days. Can we talk about how, in my opinion, Overwatch 1 was just as much fun, if not more fun, while not receiving an update? For 3 years, it did not receive an update, and was just as fun, if not more fun, than current 5v5 is. And I think another issue I have is that every problem that 5v5 currently has is fixed by 6v6. Can you imagine 6v6, but you have the DPS passive? Your tanks aren't soaking up all the damage anymore. Your supports can't heal all the damage through the tanks. And I think it just becomes a healthier game overall, because now you don't have to rely on your tank being better than the other tank to win the game. And that's kind of what Overwatch 2 has devolved into, where if your tank is just outclassed by their other tank, you lose the game. If one of my supports is outclassed, it doesn't matter, I have another one. If one of my DPS is outclassed, it doesn't matter, I have another one. If my tank is outclassed, whether it's their fault or not, we lose that game. There's no coming back from your tank getting absolutely gapped, in my opinion.
Yeah, I disagree with that tank statement you just made about if the tank is bad, then the game is lost. If I have 2 dog shit DPS people on my team that are not doing any damage, and I and my supports or whatever have to rely on the tank to do the damage, I'm sorry, man. That's not on anyone else but the DPS I have on my team. If I, as a tank, am doing okay, but my 2 DPS or my 1 DPS is just completely getting shut down by the 2 other DPS on the other team, that's not on me, man. That's on the DPS player not being good at whoever the DPS player is playing.
I agree with that, but the key statement was both your DPS, right? If both your DPS are bad, like, yeah, you're gonna lose the game. Like, I mean, of course you are. Like, if both my supports suck, I'm gonna lose the game. But if my 1 tank sucks, I lose. In Overwatch 2, I can have a game where my off-tank does all and I can win, because it's not as important of a role. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say. Here's my ending statement. If you think 5v5 is better, that's fine. You also need to agree that tank needs to be the strongest role in the game, because I have more responsibility than anyone else on my team. So if you don't think 5v5 is better and tank should be the strongest role, your ideals do not align. And I want to bring that up just... I know in here we'll probably all agree that we think tank should be the strongest, but I'm opening up the debate to the other people in the chat.
Do we agree? Do we all agree that tank should be the strongest role? Yes or no?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Not want it to be.
Yes. Yes.
No, and I'll tell you why. Tank role has to have insane mental. So we're okay with not being the strongest. We're dealing with that. But when that support nerf dropped, the majority of Overwatch support players are drowning right now. And it's not fair for them, because they had a good time for a while. And I understand.
For it.
That's true. Some are, some aren't. But my point is that tanks were built different, all right? We can handle it. I'm willing to take on that pain.
I'm just saying, if I have to shoulder more responsibility, inherently my role should do more than the others. And I agree. I do think that mentally and, like, obviously gameplay-wise, tanks do have to be better than the other roles, but therefore I should have more impact on the game. That's just, it's basic game. If I take more of the load of the team than my other members do, I should be more impactful. I shouldn't be on the same level as a DPS or a support, because that's not fair to me, because there's only one of me. I don't have someone else to make up for...
So wouldn't 5v5 make the tank more impactful?
No, it doesn't. Has tank been super impactful, like, the past, 5 months? Because it's been the worst role in the game for the last, 5 months. Like, yeah, we're in a meta where, even now, with the tank buff, I still think DPS is better. It doesn't matter if I have more impact if my role is still not as good as the other one. It's I do.
I feel like...
But it doesn't.
I feel like it does, though. I feel like it does, though. If it's got the responsibility, and you're also saying, if my tank is bad, then we lose, then I feel like that is the most impactful role, though.
Because you can play good on a tank and also still lose. You can have the game of your life on tank and still lose, because you don't have another tank there to make up for any other gaps. in your team.
When everyone brings up the support nerfs, the one that always comes to mind is when they nerfed Mercy's healing from 60 down to 55, and when everyone's lost their mind saying Mercy's dead like a year ago. That's the first thing that always comes to mind. Meanwhile, the tanks kind of get screwed over a lot, and no one really says anything.
I think that's just wrong. I think DPS players complain the least, because have you heard a Doomfist player talk about his character in the last year? They just yap and yap and yap about how their character sucks, there's too many bugs. Like, I think... Yeah, he does. Actually, they suck as in, like, as a bad character, like, playing the game. I agree with Buggy. I don't agree with suck. I think Doom has been in, like, the best state he's been in since, like, Overwatch 1, like, Double Shield, and for the past, like, 5 months. Like, Doom was really good. He was only bad for, like, that mid-season patch where Orisa was just, like, the best character in the game.
My team should usually swap around the tank player, not the other way around.
It's a lot of times really frustrating when I pick Monkey on, say, Watch Point, and might decide, for Bastion, that seems to be the right pick. And then we just get rolled because no one wants to control high ground. Or it's King's Row, I play Ryan, and we're just playing a bunch of flankers. Playing tank, you want to play towards the map usually, and if it's DPS, kind of just don't play off that. It doesn't work a lot of the time.
You guys are not going to stop me from playing the hero I want to play. Forget you guys. I'm going ball, and you can't do nothing about it. I'll swap because I want to, not because they told me to. I'll swap because I feel that it's necessary, not because my team feels it's necessary, because, again, forget them. I feel like, as a tank player, like, even if I'm playing Ryan into a Pharah, I can work something out, or I can let my team deal with them instead of me. I just feel like what I play, this like the tank that I choose does not necessarily dictate how the game is going to go.
I think it's unfair of me to ask that they should switch, and it's unfair for the latter. Ultimately, I'm a Ryan one trick, so it's rude for me to ask someone to switch when I'm willing not to switch myself. However, I do understand that in this current stage of the game, switching to compensate for your tank is the smarter move for the other roles. And it's more likely that 2 of the DPS or 2 of the support, 1 of them would be willing to swap to compensate. But if I really wanted that, I should be duo queuing, I should be trio queuing, I should get people willing to compensate my playstyle. I shouldn't be able to expect a random teammate to do that. And even then, deep down, I still think, like, switch to help me and we'll do good. But I have to earn that. I have to VC, I have to IGL, and that's hard to get in solo queue. So it's really situational.
Well, the only reason I'm here is because I already used my neutral card. Otherwise, I would be there along with Ligar. The next up is 1. Pretty much, like, just me as a player is like, I don't care how we win. As long as we win. So it's like, if I'm playing what I'm comfortable on, like I'm playing a dive here on a dive map or et cetera, it's like, who cares? It's like, I'll play Winston, I'll play the heroes I'm more comfortable on. But it's like, if my team wants, for example, a Maga, then it's like, sure, I don't give a crap. I'll go Maga. If it means we win, then hell yeah. If it means we lose, then I don't have to take blame for that because I'm not comfortable on that hero. So it's like, it's a win-win for me.
Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who swaps. I've kind of not really bit the bullet, but it's like, when I climbed a lot my first time, I realized it helped a lot just to make my teammates feel like they were right. Doesn't matter if they actually are, mental goes a long way in Overwatch, and if me swapping to what they want helps their mental, then fine. And I don't think they need to swap to me, because, like, I'm not right all the time. Like, I can make a horrible swap, and if the team just follows me, it's just a bad play. You know, so instead of, like, blind following, I always find it more just, like, instead of picking for your teammates, why aren't we picking for the enemy? The reason you can swap in Overwatch is to counter swap. So why pick around me when I can just pick around the tanks? And if my team doesn't want to swap, I'll swap. Like, why do I care? I learned every tank for a reason, right? I learned all these tanks so I have the ability to swap for my team. And if I'm not going to use that ability for my team, then what's the point of me playing? Because like we were talking about earlier, 5v5 tank, it does have more pressure. And if you're going to take, that more pressure with you, then you're also going to have to bite off a bit more of the responsibility. In the same vein of, while I think my role should have the best, it should also mean I have the most responsibility on the team. Same concept here of, I should have to be the responsible one if I believe my role should be the strongest, because that's part of being the strongest role. And that's also part of being, the only tank, is that sometimes you are just going to have to bite the bullet and swap to match your team, or else you're just going to lose. You don't have to, like, it's not a necessary thing, but I just think it's wrong to generalize saying, all of them need to swap to me, or I need to swap to them, when in all reality, it's just like, dude, do whatever the helps you win. Winning's all that matters. Who gives a how you do it?
All right, after hearing everybody speak, is there anybody who would like to change their stance?
All right. Pretty overall shift towards the disagree. Is there anybody that would like to give their reasoning why?
I switched because I think you still should play around your tank, because your tank is the most like if you're like listing them off, your tank is the most important player on the team, so you should play around them to keep them up or whatever. Like if your tank dies, the fight is like lost in 5v5. But I also see where if your tank is just bad at the game and like one of your DPS are like really good, and if you can put all your resources into that one DPS to win the game, then do it. So like majority of the time you should play around your tank, but if like playing around your DPS like works better to win the game, then I think you should do that.
DPS is the easiest role in the game.
I'd say DPS is slightly easier than support. For being easiest role, tank is clearly the hardest. A lot of time you can get value by just shooting the tank and doing nothing but shoot the tank. And if they're not running, say like Moira, Ana, Bat for some heavy healing output, the tank just blows up and you lose the fight.
I think that at the lower level, support is the easiest role. Like, because Moira, I feel like, just has, like, the lowest skill floor, and so is, like, Mercy and stuff. But I think at the higher level, tank is actually, like, the easiest role to, like, go pro in. It's, like, a little bit harder now because it's one tank, so you have to fight for that spot. But I think you can have bad aim on tank, but make the right decisions and win. But on DPS, you, like, can just have really, really good aim and sometimes make, like, a little bit of the wrong decision and still, like, be correct in that, so like win the game. So tank, like since you need just less mechanical skill and like a little bit more like brain, then I just think like you can learn that. But some people just don't have like mechanical skill. Like some people just can't aim, and yeah, I think it depends on what level you're playing at is the easiest and hardest.
I'm sorry, but I disagree with your example there. I think I agree. I think support is generally one of the easier roles at the variety of skill levels. I think at lower ranks, kind of like metal ranks generally, tank is pretty easy. I will like kind of give that off. Tank's pretty easy to do at lower ranks. But in your example, when you go to higher ranks, like when you're like scrimming and like playing and like tournaments and whatnot, I think tank is one of the harder roles, because in comp as a tank, you can kind of just mute, not join VC, and still kind of run around and do tank things and get away with it. But like in scrims and whatnot, you have to generally, this is once again overall, tanks have to play their hero. They have to IGL, which includes keeping track of what your team's supposed to do, your rotations, etc., etc. It's like a lot more management, which requires a lot more like mental capacity, which is a little bit more difficult. I would say that makes tank the hardest role. I don't think there generally is a hardest role or easiest role in the game. They all have their different, like, some roles are better at other things than others. Like DPS players can just rely on their aim and get to top 500, or supports can just lock Kiriko and climb because Kiriko's broken. I think generally it's just like there's not a super hard stuck hardest role or easiest role, but I will say the easiest role to climb on is probably DPS. Yeah, the DPS is like all you have to do is know how to aim pretty much to climb. Supports, you kind of have to know ability cooldowns and have to rely on teammates because that's just the genre of the role. But yeah, I think that's my stance. Smile.
I think easiest and hardest is obviously a difficult question because it's all subjective at the end of the day. The way I rate it is I think tank has the least amount of transferable skills. So I wouldn't rate tank there because I don't think it transfers over as well. Like if a DPS swaps to tank, it's going to be harder for them to play tank than it is for a tank to swap to a DPS or support, in my opinion. So I wouldn't say tank. And I think it's much easier for a DPS to swap support than it is for a support to swap to DPS. My issue with support and why I think is they're the easiest is you fundamentally can't really position badly as support anymore. You have so much getaway, you have so much like ability to just get yourself out of situations that the other two roles just don't have. You can actively position yourself badly and be forgiven for that because the role, especially in Overwatch 2, has been watered down so much from what it was. Because, you know, I can't tell you why. I would assume because there's not another tank, so they have to try and make up for that, and they make up for that by making support stronger because there's not as much peel. But supports don't even need peel half the time. I mean, you even watch Owl. I mean, when their supports get dove, like, you can play the counter dive, but for a lot of teams, they just kind of let their supports live. They'll just sit there and let their supports, like, pocket each other and live through these hard engages that no other role can really live through. If I dive a Kiri or a Lucio or an Ana or a Brig, there's a high chance they're not going to die. If I die in a cast, that motherfucker's dead. He's not getting away. He's not gonna cleanse and then TP and then amp away and then pull his backline back to me and then flower up and then sleep me and then anti me and then bash away and then have their 80 boops on me, right? Support is just so much easier from an ability standpoint to make up for bad plays than either of the other roles, so that's why I think it's the easiest.
All right, so I saw a lot of people nodding their head. Just in a yes or no answer, I'd like to hear, do you guys think support is the easiest role in the game? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 We're getting canceled.
And this is that, like, our roles are naturally interlinked. So if my DPS don't play well, I don't feel it nearly as much as I do if my supports are playing bad. Because I can't do my job if my supports are not there to help me through it. So I tend to feel it a lot more when they play bad than I do DPS, because I can make up for DPS, I can't make up for support.
I feel like I don't have much control over the outcome of my games most of the time.
So I'm going to be upfront. It's hard because I haven't played this season, really. I haven't really played much of the last season or two. I haven't found a lot of fun in tank. But the last few seasons I played, I found that it didn't really matter whether I played good or bad necessarily. Like, if I played bad, my team just lost. But I should say it didn't matter if I played good. So if I played bad, my team lost most of the time. If I played good, it didn't really matter. Like, I have games, multiple games in a row where I'll have 45 and 5 or whatever, tank stat line, and lose. It might be different now up front. I'm not sure. But in my experience over the last 2 seasons, I think tank has had the least impact on the game out of the 3 roles. And therefore, it makes it really hard for me to be able to just hard carry games like I used to be able to in, like, Overwatch 1, early Overwatch 2.
Honestly, it's just an on and off basis, honestly. Like, one game, I just put on Bad Reputation by Joan Jett, went in as D.Va, destroyed the team completely. That was probably one of the best games I've ever had in my life. And then sometimes I'll just play D.Va again and just do absolutely nothing. It's like, sometimes I just feel like another one on the DPS, and sometimes I feel like that raid boss that they were promoting back in season 1.
I think you have control over the outcome of your game almost all the time. I also hate when people post like score wars on Twitter, like, oh, I went 72-3 and I lost this game, when they're like playing ball or whatever, or playing some character that's just flanking and getting a kill, but then your entire team's dead, like, behind you. Like, even and then like the other team wins with the tank going like 16-3, because they were actually like kind of trying to peel for their team, and they were like making the right decisions instead of playing for Katie. Like, they're just playing Call of Duty instead of playing Overwatch. So I think you like switching, especially since how like good counter swapping is right now on tank, that you have control almost every like one of your games. Like, every comp game, you're the common denominator in all your comp games. So most of it, like, if you go on a losing streak, 99% of the time, it's your fault.
A lot of ego. I know how much ego sounds, and part of my French, but I'm the best. I can control games if I want to. I can carry them. Like, yeah, I can control games. It's like, if I put my mind to it and like actually try hard, and aside from certain metas like Maga meta or like certain dive metas, it's like, as a tank player, unless I'm like at the highest rank, I can hard control games if I put my mind to it. It's like all about like making sure that you understand that you are in the role that can carry the easiest. I think tank in certain cases can carry a lot harder than like even DPS.
To add on to that, I'm going to be real with you, that's all so true. And also communication. If you start the comms up, if you get people in VC, that is the determining factor in majority of games. No matter your rank, if people are talking together, communicating together, even the worst mechanical players can still provide value. And to those who are higher mechanical, different ranks, different wide stacking, anything. That is the key to this game, to add that extra level of communication, because that's Overwatch. It's a fast-paced team game. There's not a lot of downtime. You just need to yell what's going on and hope that your team backs you up. So you can control that outcome. There are ways to do it, even if you don't have the skill.
I think tanks counter-swapping each other is cheap and makes the game less enjoyable for everyone.
I think in my application for this episode, I think I even said counter swap hell, and that statement still stands, 3 hours later? My biggest pet peeve, especially in the Mauga meta, was when if I picked any tank that had a bigger hit, the biggest hitboxes, it was Mauga. Mauga. And now when it was Orisa, it was an Orisa mirror match. And I pick Orisa, they pick Orisa. Like, oh my god, it was like the most boring 10 minutes of my life with just two Orisas shooting at each other, and then we're both getting healed at the same time, so we're both not dying, and then it just turns into two raid bosses raid bossing each other instead of, yeah, that's where I stand on that.
I, for one, am part of the anti-meta brigade. Forget the meta. The meta sucks. I main Bastion back in Overwatch 1 out of sheer spite. And I like, even if the team is going something that counters me, like Orisa, I will find a way to work with it. I will play around it. I do not listen to the meta at all. It ruins my experience. It probably ruins the experience for a lot of people. I see no fun. I see no challenge, like, complying to it.
I think if you counter swap, it just makes the game more boring. Like, say I want to play Winston and then they go Hog. Like, because I like Winston. I like playing Winston in ball. But when Hog was meta, it was actually one of the most miserable things because you just play against Hog every game. And that shit was so boring. And then I also think that counter swapping is, like, really bad. If you were to delete Hog, Orisa, and Malga and nerf Ball, Doom, and Diva, and then buff everyone else, the game would be so much better. I think if Ryan, Winston, and Ram, and Queen were, like, switching in and out of meta, like, every month or so, then the game would just be so much more fun for, like, almost everyone. Like, the game is more fun when Winston and Ryan are just meta.
So, first point, why the do I care if you have fun or not? I want to win. I don't care if you have fun. Two, I think a lot of people look at counter swapping as less skillful than maybe playing a character. Why is it less skillful that I can play more characters at a higher level than you can? It's not less skill. It's a different type of skill. It's on the burden of the player whether they want to counter swap or not. It doesn't really matter if they do, because if you're going to sit here and you're going to play one character, two characters, and they counter swap you on both those characters, in my opinion, they're the better player. They play their role better because they have more options to switch to. I understand, like, not liking hard meta options. Like, obviously, during hard Malga meta, a hard Orisa meta, it's not fun to play there. But at the end of the day, it's what gets you the win. So whether I have to counter swap to win or stay the character I am to win, I don't really care as long as I win. Like I said, it does not matter to me in the slightest whether the other team has fun or not. I don't give a f***. My team doesn't care because as long as we win, why does it matter what I play to them, right? All that matters is that we win.
There's a difference between a mere victory and complete and utter triumph.
Yeah, the triumph is me winning. Winning is winning. No matter how the f*** I do it.
Would you rather win a game on a boring character that you don't find engaging and fun, or would you rather lose on a character that you're having a great time playing?
Oh, I'd rather win. I don't care about having fun. I'm a winner. Whether I win and I have fun or not doesn't matter to me. What matters is that I won. There's been plenty of tank metas that I fucking... Do you think anyone liked playing double shield? No. Do you think I played that because I wanted to win? Yeah. Do you think I liked playing goats for like a year straight? Fuck no. Do you think I played goats because I wanted to win? Fuck yes.
So let me ask you a follow-up question. If you're playing things that you're not having fun playing, and the point of a video game is to have fun, then where are you finding this, like, incentive to keep playing?
Is the point of ranked to have fun? If I want to have fun, I'll play quick play. Ranked is not meant to have fun, and I understand that it's a difference of opinions, but if I'm playing a competitive game mode, it's to be competitive. It's not to have fun, and I've always hated that take of whenever I'm in a game and someone says, oh, it's just a game. Oh, just have fun. No, I'm playing competitive because I want to win. I don't care if I want to have fun, or if the enemy has fun. I just want to win, man.
Let me just say, I know we're standing on the same side, but that is the most unhinged of long ball pick I've ever heard in my life. I'm just gonna say, counter swapping, counter picking, it's part of the game. It's built in. You can go back to spawn. Other games don't have this for a reason. This is the way it's meant to be, and that's okay to do. So when there was the Orisa meta, and I am obviously a one trick, I said, do it. Play Orisa. Let's see if it works. And it didn't a lot of the times. And when you get that play of the game and it's against the Orisa, you say, yeah, counter pick me again, counter swap me again. I welcome the challenge. That's what makes it fun. So in a way, for different roles, maybe it seems cheap, maybe it seems a bit this and that, but you can also switch too. Everyone can switch against each other. Then eventually you get exhausted from switching and start going to the better way to play the game, which is counterplay, which is put your skill to the test and show just because you're countering me does not mean you're going to beat me.
I don't think you guys are wrong. Let me say that. I have a very different definition of fun than most people of winning is fun to me, losing is not fun. Like, it's that cut and dry for me. So that's kind of, if you need a background of my opinion, that's kind of why I
What
know
if-
my opinion of it.
What if you're playing in like a 5-stack with friends, you guys are having a jolly good time, but you're on a lost streak?
See, that's so different because it's a different mentality because I've been GM for years at this point. If I'm playing 5v5, if I'm playing in a 5-stack, a 6-stack, I'm probably smurfing and playing to have fun anyways because I'm not going to be on my main account. So I can't answer that question in good faith because my perspective is different from a lot of players, in my opinion.
All right. After hearing everybody speak, is there anybody that would like to change their stance? All right,
Yeah.
Queen, you went all the way to the other side of the map. Let's hear it. Why?
I realized after what Sir said, it's like I don't give a f- about having fun. I want to win. I like having winning is fun. Why would I want to like be miserably playing like sure I'm really my favorite hero for a map, but then I lose and it's like I didn't end up having fun to begin with. I lost, but if I win, then numbers go up, and that gives happiness.
See, it's also so hard because I've been a competitive player as well for so long. I think I've unironically forgotten just how to have fun.
That's true.
I couldn't. The last time I had fun with Overwatch was unironically the end of Overwatch 1 when everyone hopped back on that last season to try hard. And I also think that's the other reason why I hate Overwatch 2 is because that is the last time I genuinely remember playing just to have fun was Overwatch 1. I
mean, yeah, because like,
Don't like-
higher level try hard lobbies when everyone's calming, everyone's trying, and is like trying to win. That is the most fun you can ever have playing Overwatch.
What are your guys' points on if you aren't having fun and you're losing? What do you say you're counter swapping and you're losing? What's the point of playing the game? Because you're not having fun and you're losing.
I've learned that if you rage queue, you're more likely to lose. So why would I play mad and even worse because I'm mad and I'm upset and I can't see the mistakes I'm making because I'm just going to lash out at my other teammates when instead I could just get off and save my mental peace.
I don't always get mad if I'm losing and counter swapping. It's like sure, but if I get mad, I'll get off. I'm not gonna rage queue, but like I will rage queue in quotations if I still lost the game, but I'm not upset. It's like sure, I lost the map. It happens. I can't win every single game possible. I'm not perfect. Not a single player is, but like I'll go another one.
Question for Sir. I feel like quick play is to have fun, ranked is to have fun, organized play is when you start treading in that I want to win category. I feel like if you are not somebody getting paid to play this game on an organized competitive team level, then that doesn't it doesn't matter as much.
My thing with comp and the argument there is I agree that, organized play is obviously something that's probably a lot more competitive. But I think, honestly, I have a lot more fun playing competitive play than actual organized competitive play than I ever do comp. If I played for fun, it would literally just to be only competitive play because I know I'm going to get in a game with 4 of the people who I know and I like and I can talk to. Ranked is solely a tool used to get better. And I feel like in my time playing that if I'm not consistently winning, I'm not getting better. Because if I'm not winning, it means I don't deserve to be in the rank I'm in. So naturally, that's going to frustrate me a lot more than anything else. Also, for a very long time, rank is the barrier. I don't know if people understand that. Really, if you haven't been a serious, and I'm not trying to sound condescending at all. I'm just trying to explain the differences in mentality of I can't get on to a 4.5 team if my rank is 4.2. So naturally, I'm gonna take it really serious because ranked is my barrier to getting to the serious aspect. Especially for me because, I'm GM top 500, it's naturally just a lot more people are going to be competitive. Whereas lower ranks, even on my off rolls, which I do play on lower ranks, I have a lot more fun on my off rolls because I'm not playing to really get better anymore. I'm playing just for fun. But if I'm playing ranked on tank, I'm playing to get better. And that's kind of my whole thing is that it's very frustrating when I'm not getting better because I'm not winning. And so it turns into me not having fun. It's fun learning things. It's fun learning how to properly place my Winston bubble. And it's fun learning how to predict hooks. But if I'm not winning, that practice doesn't matter. So it makes me feel like all the time I'm putting in is wasted and it makes me not have fun.
Well, thank you guys for coming on. Before we end it completely, I want you all to look at where you think the camera is, get your best ult towards the camera, and I want you to tell the viewers to subscribe to ChristalRaine while you ult them, right? Go ahead. Diva's ready. Go ahead.
3, 2, 1. I go.
Subscribe!
Oh my god, everyone subscribe!
To the 1, to the 1, to the 3, I play easy mode, and I play to win. I love to die, and I like to BRB. All systems checked out. Group up with me. 2 to the 1 to the 1 to the 3. I'm here to party. GG. A giant gorilla can keep up with me. You get